Big Red Couch, the podcast about making role-playing games. A group of GMs and players draw ideas from the mystery box and bring their game pitches to you.
Good morning, listener, and welcome to the Big Red Couch, episode 98. Here in sunny and beautiful England, where there are a few clouds in the sky, but most of it's this lovely blue, I'm Craig.
And over here, where we're experiencing total sunlight deprivation because, it's the middle of the night, it's Ben.
Suck it, flat earthers.
Yes. I guess this is pretty good, if quite circumstantial proof. This could be a very complex plot to pretend that there is actually a spherical Earth, but it does seem like a lot of effort.
Yeah, like satellites, doctored photos, and apparently every airline routing ever.
Ah, well. Okay,
yes.
we can't bag on flat earthers 2 episodes in a row. That was last time.
That's true. Okay.
Let's find someone else.
Well, just before we find someone else, or maybe this will come up. In our last episode, we mentioned that New Zealand was in the process of trying to find a government.
It's around here somewhere.
Well, after nearly a month, we found one.
Indeed. Well, actually, that's shorter than the last 2 coalition governments that involved New Zealand first. So I guess good old Winston has realised that he hasn't got that much longer to go as a viable political career. And he wants
to get the maximum baubles in his time, yes.
Oh, he was certainly revelling in the attention.
Yes.
Unmistakable, but yeah.
And that happened earlier this week, I believe, a couple of days ago.
Yep.
And the thing that I'm finding the nicest about it, quite aside from the fact that it's a change of government away from one I didn't like to one I do, that aside, is that I feel that as a country we can all come together and bond over just how miserable this has made one of New Zealand's media trolls and alleged journalists.
Oh, would you be talking about Mike Hosking?
Yes, the sad Mike Hosking meme. And I should point out, there is a vague chance that I'm related to the man.
Oof.
On my mother's side. Yeah. For a bit of backstory, he is somebody who very much presents himself as being this fair and balanced journalist. He's not. His biases are very clearly obvious, and he absolutely hates this result. And it's really, really obvious from absolutely everything he's done since the result has been announced, and it's fantastic.
It's a bit of Schadenfreude, but yeah, gonna happen to a nicer guy.
Bathing in the Schadenfreude. I mean, I used to quite like Mike Hosking when back in the day he was on breakfast television. Yeah, he was this slightly more conservative than everybody else guy on breakfast television, but he didn't take it particularly seriously, and neither did anybody else. Then he got a fancy haircut and a car and just became more and more of a dick.
He got thrown out of Australia for being a dick, so I think...
Wasn't that Paul Henry?
Oh, they can't start to become indistinguishable after a while.
That's true.
Honest. But, yeah. Oh, no, I could have been thinking of Paul Henry. We haven't heard much from Paul Henry lately, which is probably why.
Well, I mean, effectively he's trying to muscle in on Mike's gig. That shit ain't happening.
No, I guess he has that pinned. So... Yes, and there's been some Facebook memes about this isn't democracy, not there is a percentage of the population who haven't voted for the particular constituents of the coalition government, and this number magically adds up to more than 100%, so it's not democratic. It's like, do you math?
Do you even understand how the political system in New Zealand works? Because there's a rather nice example out there about buying a pie that you should read. Effectively, under the New Zealand system, if you have enough mates to buy the pie, you get to be in government. If you don't have enough mates to buy the pie, or if you've consistently pissed them off for 9 years straight so they won't lend you the money, you can't buy the pie. It's really that simple.
Okay, let's back away from pies for the moment. You're starting to get a bit heated. You're starting to get a bit heated.
Well, that's okay. We can just blow on the pie.
Nice.
You can't see the awful, awful finger gun expression I'm pulling, but trust me, it's awful and dreadful. Okay, so we have an episode for today. I know by this point you're probably all wondering whether we do have an episode or whether we're just going to ramble on until you get bored. It was an option, but we do have a prompt, and that prompt is Evil Sidekick Hangout.
Indeed. So, have you come up with a scintillating idea for evil sidekick hangout?
I have 3.
Oh my goodness. That's unprecedented.
On the plus side, most of them aren't very good, so they may only
that's
count
right.
for half, so I may like have 1.5.
Quantity is a quality in and of itself.
Never mind the quality, feel the width.
Right.
How
So,
about you?
since
Do you have...
I have a reasonably solid idea which has a timely pop culture tie-in.
Ooh,
Mhm.
ooh. Oh, you went with relevance. Oh, jeez. I mean, one of mine references Throw Mama from the Train, so...
Holy crap.
Yeah, mine is not timely.
Right. Well, since you're going to be digging on the nostalgia thing, maybe you should go first.
Okay, all right. Just call out a stop if I'm trembling all over one of your ideas.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if we go with that one first.
Danny DeVito. No, you haven't. Not so far.
All right, so I looked at Evil Sidekick Hangout and basically thought of, okay, Evil Sidekick, aka Henchman, whatever. Imagining basically a group of all of the henchmen of villains getting together to plot to kill off each other's villain in very much the Hitchcock Strangers on a Train
Oh,
/ Throw Mama from the Train
Nice.
crisscross thing.
Ah, nice. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I see it basically as I think it would probably work best as you could do it as a murderous superhero heist movie almost, because it's, effectively multiple interlinked, simultaneous imprisonments, framings, assassinations, whatever, to take out these villains, just sort of wipe the slate clean of, I don't know, presumably a city or maybe a country, depending on, or a world, depending on how big a scale you go. Wipe the slate clean of all of the top level villains at once, so that all of their sidekicks can step into the role.
Interesting. So the ambitious. I will in a moment quibble about your use of the term sidekick, but I am too excited about the rest of the idea right now. So So they're definitely henchmen. They're definitely.
Yeah, these are henchmen. I mean, you could go into the whole thing of
Bob.
I always
you're
think
my number one guy. No one remembers Bob.
I always go with the thought of sidekick. Robin the boy hostage is a sidekick. Harley Quinn isn't a sidekick. I personally have the mental thing of sidekick means on the hero side of things, not the villain side of things. But setting that aside for this idea, it's basically all of the hench goons. Harley finally has enough of the Joker's shit, possibly because she's just sick of Jared Leto movies. I'm not sure. It seems plausible under the circumstance.
Well, maybe the goons in question have just gone full Starscream.
You're going to have to unpack that one for me.
Starscream was the amazingly incompetent, cowardly, and toadying second to Megatron in the Transformers.
Oh.
And he would betray Megatron at the drop of a hat and then crawl back for asking for forgiveness. It was possibly a little bit like the Joker-Harley relationship in other ways, but I'm not going to judge robots and their interfaces. But it would happen just with a tedious, almost just tedious regularity, that he would go, aha, that was my chance to strike. Whoops.
Now's my chance to screw it up again.
Yeah. You can even die properly. You become a robot ghost. That makes no sense.
Wow. Robot Ghost. That's awesome. Why did I not watch this cartoon? I was going to say because I had a life during that time period, but I think we all know that's not the case. Maybe we just didn't get very good TV reception.
Possibly. Yeah, but there's a so the idea that there's possibly, so when you say hangout, I'm picturing a seedy bar where the villains, goons hang out. Where they nurse their injuries from being, from facing off against Punch Fist and Dive Kick or whatever the local the local supers are called. And maybe they just realize
thrust and suplex. We can go all night on these ones, people.
They simply realize that they're maybe they've just figured out that the plans the supervillains come up with are largely contingent and maybe deliberately involved their expendability, or at very least them being put in harm's way repeatedly. And maybe they're just they're not quite unionizing, but they're deciding they'd rather have someone who feels a little bit of empathy to the little guy, however long that lasts.
Yeah, why do you look so down, Bob? Well, I was cleaning up around the lair. Yeah, found a secret door. Oh, anything cool? Yeah, not really. It was just the remains of the previous 18 Bobs. Oh, yeah, that's always creepy.
Yeah. So maybe they're feeling hard done by, and they feel that their part of the schemes aren't safe in any way. So yeah, I like it. I like the idea that it's really a good narrative driver. I'm not sure. I mean, would the party be one of the groups?
I think the party is the Sidekicks. I would do this as it's basically an opportunity to play the villains, ideally without going into cackling insanity. But it's basically, I'm not sure of the game system. I mean, in my head, what I'd want to do is use something like leverage, or I've heard good things about Blades in the Dark and this sort of thing, that basically have it a game that more or less starts and ends with the taking out of the villains. That, because ultimately, from a GMing point of view and from a player's point of view, you want them to succeed. What happens beyond that is perhaps better handled by another game.
It's a different story, effectively.
Yeah, I mean, the end of the story is when each of these evil sidekicks wanders to their seedy dive bar or the abandoned building where they were meeting or wherever they were hanging out. It could just be a coffee shop. I mean, it'd be very entertaining if it was just a coffee shop. But, yeah, they all meet up there and each one of them is carrying the signature item of their evil villain former leader. So if we're going Gotham, you've got somebody who's one of the sidekicks has turned up wearing the Penguin's top hat. Somebody else has got that stupid cane with the question mark on it for the Riddler. I don't think the Joker really had anything other than dribbling fucking insanity going for him in terms of a prop.
He does have the flag bang gun.
Oh yeah, he's got the bang gun.
Yeah.
Two-Face's, somebody just flicking Two-Face's coin repeatedly in the air, and that can be the closing scene.
Or even the opening scene, and then you work back from how that...
Nice! Yes. Yeah. And in my head, I'd like it to be one of these games where you'd go forward with somebody's henchman is going after somebody else's villain. They reach sort of some point where they're outplayed or they're outmaneuvered and it's not working. And then you cut away to how one of the other people is helping that situation. It could break down into chaos.
Yeah. If you're using Blades in the Dark, it could be that person has, they're attempting to sneak in and do the thing that will lead to the villain's demise, not their villain's demise.
Yeah.
But there some sort of get out of jail free or card has been left by the villain in question's henchman, and you can narrate that. And Blades in the Dark, I believe, would work very well for that.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet. It's on the list of games to read, but at this point, there's a few of them.
Yep, no, it definitely has mechanic for saying, all right, the flashback set up in advance kind of thing is like that mirrors the way that shows like Leverage or Man from U.N.C.L.E., that sort of Mission Impossible. We are so competent. We knew this was coming.
Nice
kind of thing.
Because that would be would be the vibe I would want. Personally, I would want the flashback to earlier when.
And to be honest, the other more brutal option would be you say a game like Champions or Heroes or whichever is the more recent version, or say GURPS Supers, and you give them a bunch of like 25-point normal human characters. And the villains are regular villains. They are actually scaled, so they have to figure out how to do it. But they've got a reserve. They've got a bunch of mooks that they could possibly expend getting to their task. There's either way you could do it. One's a kind of more trad approach. One's a more new wave.
Thematically, the more trad approach does have the thing of these are people who are taking out their villains by expending mooks in the exact same way that the villain expends sidekicks.
It's a vicious circle.
Yeah,
It's
it's
true.
effectively you are now on the top of the heap. You are the monster.
Mhm.
And if you wanted to do the complete bastard version of it, and you could get away with the players not noticing, you can then sort of do the closing scene of narrating the gleam in the head mook's eye as he sort of speculatively eyes that bang gun that the new Joker is holding.
Yeah. I would also for super dickery of a next tier, you could have you'd have the villains in question have a very, very strict protocol about stuff that they do, and one of them is that all four of them, let's say it's these four major villainous things, never meet. 2, occasionally 3, maybe, but all four of them are never in the same place. The reason is because if you bring all of the four artifacts, the things that are going to be using to give them their powers together in the same place, bad shit happens. But they just don't mention that to their mooks because they're not going to last.
Nice.
Yeah, they would just be super dickery for the GM's sake, though, and you don't want to encourage that.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. No, I like the idea. Yeah. Henches on a train, I think would be an interesting.
Henchmen on a Train. Yeah.
You definitely want to dig into the Venture Rose kind of levels of ridiculous. Well, it's definitely a venue for that sort of super heroic, super spy, super science kind of thing.
Yeah. Some of that stuff is going to come out no matter what you do. So plan ahead and embrace it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. No, I like that. Yeah, there's a couple of approaches there as well, which is cool.
Woohoo!
It does veer a little closely to mine, so I might bust it out now, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, I kind of somewhat have a quibble with the idea of the villains having sidekicks. I'm sure it exists somewhere, but generally villains don't do the mentor-mentee, hate that word, relationship thing at all. It's very much the territory of the noble, good example superhero to have their sidekick dashboard kind of person to kind of be maybe be a successor, maybe an understudy, but that's the kind of thing that, for obvious reasons, including, what happened to Bob, all of the Bobs, it's something that villains don't tend to cultivate. And I bet you there is an example. If there are examples out there, well, the prominent one will be the inverse, or the inverted thing. It'll be a bit of a mockery of it. But I couldn't think of one on the top of my head. I'm sure someone out there in the universe will know. So I couldn't really see them being like sidekicks too evil. But and thinking about inversion, I started thinking about the comic and soon to be released TV show Runaways.
Okay.
In which the teenage offspring of a group of powerful and slightly neglectful supervillains called the Pride, each with their own shtick, very much in their own kind of field. The kids have been kept in the dark. They discover something terrible is going on, and the parents are less, kind of not murdery about the entire thing, and they run away and sort of accidentally become superheroes. And great comic series, cool characters, lots of teen angst and drama, and a tiny girl who calls herself Power Princess punches the Punisher in the nuts at one point, which is hilarious. But
yeah, super strong 9-year-old or something.
Yep. And I frankly think all the characters are pretty charming.
But no, very, very good comic, well worth a read. Or wait for the movie. Or TV series. TV series or movie?
TV series.
Much better fit.
Yeah, definitely. And it was written by Brian K. Vaughan. I find it quite charming, actually. And pretty good at going for the heartstrings on occasion. So it's a cool series. And as I say, nice inversion, the idea of a what if kind of, do these villains have kids and so forth. So, my inversion on the inversion is that you have a setting with classic superheroes who have sidekicks. Maybe sidekicks are even mandated. Maybe it's kind of like a constraint placed on them, so they have someone else to look after, and maybe that people are concerned that they might get a bit too Dr. Manhattan kind of out there.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe it's a tradition. this certain group of superheroes, their sidekicks don't feel appreciated. They're also seeing how the superhero sausage is made. Let me back that one up. They're jaded about the process of superheroes doing business in the world. Let's not make it like The Boys, because that'd be hideous, or like Rick Veitch's Brat Pack.
That's where I was going with it.
Yes, okay, so we'll just back that phrase up, and everyone just try and delete the last few seconds of human memory. Awesome.
I'd like to delete my entire memory of reading Brat Pack, but apparently vodka just isn't strong enough. Thanks,
Indeed.
Rick Veitch.
Yeah, you were only using it orally, weren't you? That was your mistake. Yeah, it's kind of designed not to make you happy.
Well, it worked.
So a little bit of the corporate materialist narcissistic thing, a little bit from The Boys, but not just the depths of depravity, the kind of thing. So these kids just don't feel listened to, appreciated, and they're just sick of it. But they basically have effectively play dates. They're supposed to hang out with one another and and teach each other how to be good future superheroes. And they decide to do basically the complete opposite. They go evil. Mostly out of boredom, mostly out of rebellion, to shake their fist at the godlings that kind of control their lives.
They're sticking it to the man.
And the sticking it to the Überman, even.
Sticking it to the Übermensch.
But the thing is, they're not very good at it. And they start running into law enforcement, real villains, their mentors.
Awkward.
Yeah. And they've adopted identities and so forth, and people don't know who they are. And it's all like, oh, and they get away with some stuff because they know the protocols and the procedures, and they're relatively well equipped for a bunch of teenagers. But the idea of having the game spiral nightmarishly out of, oh my goodness, they've teamed up. Our superheroes and their arch villains have teamed up to chase us. We are so screwed.
Wow. So it's a bit of a comedy game.
I would, well, if it wasn't, it would be nightmarish.
That's fair.
Yeah. Comedy. Yeah, make it a bit slapstick, but comedy of manners. The idea that the superheroes and supervillains realize that these people have got fantastic insight. Just the inside information is just amazing. Who could these people possibly be? They must be a huge threat.
No, they actually suck quite a lot.
I don't know. There could be a huge threat, but right in this moment, they're just shitting themselves, and this is the worst thing that could possibly have happened. But the idea that it's the worst thing that could possibly happen, I think, is pretty funny. So yeah, and you could maybe use masks as a basis, or again maybe just a regular superhero game, whatever suits you best.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, if you wanted to kind of like. It would be a farce. I think it would absolutely work best as a farce. Everyone's buying in that they're like, hoo-hoo, we're young and reckless and rebellious, and oh my goodness, we have just done the dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah, the Justice League and the League of Villains are after us. Not independently, no, they're coordinating.
And possibly the only thing that's keeping them from being like immediately annihilated or captured or tracked down is that the hero, both the heroes and the villains, are over extrapolating based on what they know and what they've done to like these must be like god tier threats. Quickly, like scour the skies for them, and they're kind of in the coffee store huddling,
yeah, hiding in the back of a Starbucks behind a display of pumpkin spice everything.
It is that time of year, apparently.
The spicening is upon us.
Indeed.
Minter is coming.
Right. So, yeah, that's my idea.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So, you had a couple of others?
I did. Well, yeah, flicking on from the previous one with at least in my mind, sidekick means hero.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's totally valid.
Yep.
It goes down to like folks like Doc Savage and Indiana Jones and so forth. But generally, it's the protege hero of whatever. And occasionally you have villains have flunkies, maybe.
Yeah, flunkies or trusted lieutenants or that kind of thing, but not sidekicks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So my thinking was, and you can tell that basically I just did this by going through and putting the emphasis on different words in Evil Sidekick Hangout. I mean, that's more or less how we got to this. This is how the process works, people. Stop judging. So sidekick usually means hero. So why are there evil sidekicks? Why are they hanging out together? What are they up to? And it depends on how you wanted to go with this, but you could do this as a sneaky, kind of like the taking out the heroes equivalent of the previous one of plotting to take out each other's villains. Except in this case, what you've got are a bunch of sidekicks to heroes who are actually the bad guys. Whether these are kind of deep cover sidekicks that basically a villain with a very, very long time frame has put in place, has gone and found and trained up sufficiently talented youths and put them in situations where they can become the sidekicks to these heroes, so that you've got a villain who basically has a sleeper agent in every single hero's operation.
Right. Maybe they came up with that legislation that, if you're a registered superhero, you need to have a plucky ward. Because otherwise going around murdering the parents of aspiring circus acrobats, it might start to form a pattern.
Little bit, yeah. It's always a bit sus.
But that's like, okay, they would being villains and having sufficient time on your side, you can figure out how they did this.
Yeah. Damn it, you've killed my sidekick. Now I have to go out and find an emotionally vulnerable young man with no ties or immediate family and a desperate need for a strong male role model and start all over again.
A little bit.
I think that one was the Wolveroach from Cerebus.
Probably one of the many incarnations.
Or Captain something or other. Not sure. Yes, I seem to remember the whole thing of the character having soaked in super serum, and it's not actually super serum. It's not difficult to build a physically impressive specimen. You just need to find somebody stupid enough to do what you tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been the one. Anyway, okay, so where was I going with this? Yes, so it's basically... The temptation would be to basically try to do it like the TV show The Americans, but with superheroes. Good idea. Or do you need the bathroom? I can't tell over the internet.
I've got a terrible pun name.
Okay, go for it.
The Supermanchurian Candidate.
That's awesome. I'm making a note.
Right. Okay, so no, I dig, and possibly like suggested earlier, maybe this is a super long-term plan to build in the mechanism by which the superhero is going to be taken down by giving them these sleeper agents. So yeah, okay. It kind of implies somebody is planning the long game, but yep.
We had Henchmen On A Train, and now we've got the Supermanchurian Candidate. I cannot wait to see what you come up with for the third one. This is awesome. Yes, so I would tend to do this as a fairly serious, or as serious as you can go with supers, because it's not that easy to go serious with supers, to be honest.
It's not that easy to go serious without overcorrecting wildly into dumb. Or grim duty.
Yeah, we don't want Lego Batman here. Or maybe we do, I'm not sure.
No, I think I kind of do, but yeah, it might not be appropriate for this particular thing. I haven't seen that yet, but...
I have seen the Lego Ninjago movie.
Really?
I paid nothing to see it, and I'm pretty happy with that.
That was a good decision?
Well, I think it held together for like 2 3/4 acts, and then the ending was and then the movie ends. They did not stick the landing. I mean, they did okay on the dismount. They did not stick the landing. I'm not sure why I'm going with a gymnastics thing there. Just run with it, okay?
Probably love jumping. The ninjas are mad.
Yeah, don't make this weird. So, yes, I would go with a taking as seriously as you reasonably can, sleeper agents, because presumably it's a circumstance that whoever's running this thing maybe isn't running the long game of, I will wipe out all of the superheroes, because then, well, unless you manage to promote all of your sidekick young wards into being superheroes so that you control the lot of them, which in some cases might work, but in other cases, if you've got somebody with enormous godlike powers bestowed by some sort of alien entity, okay, maybe they can pick up the Green Lantern ring and use it, but maybe they can't. If you've got somebody who's this weird mutant or fell into the generic vat of chemicals, presumably that doesn't transfer just because you got a promotion. So maybe their goal isn't to replace the heroes, it's simply to allow whoever is running this show to do their own thing completely unobserved or unimpeded by the heroes. Maybe
just to provide they're planning ahead of time. They think, okay, this guy is, jump tall buildings, yada yada. If we get someone on the inside, if they capture or they're closing in on us or they're doing something that will be a threat to us, they can tip us off or give us an out. And maybe they feel that the status quo works fine for them, especially if it's, say, the hero was one of those extremely moral, well, off to Arkham with you again types. And so basically they're just palming another race for to put up their sleeve. And this is almost a Lex Luthor or maybe Kingpin plot. No, this is a Xanatos Gambit. Oh, good point. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is too complicated. Yeah, this is a Xanatos pretty
Gambit.
Much anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insanely long-term plan.
And yes, just foreseeing the circumstance where the thing you're preparing for would be useful and or necessary is slightly mad. So yeah. Okay, Xanatos Gambit. Yep, nice. Gargoyles, yes. Yes, character from Gargoyles. Yeah. One of the better comic book or cartoon villains, in my view, because he was actually clever and nuanced. He wasn't terribly villainous either. Yeah. It was very, very manipulative, and he certainly didn't expressly want the best for everybody, but yeah, he wasn't a dick about it most of the time. Yeah, it was quite a bit of an ass, but not 100% a dick. Very useful distinction. Okay, so that was the Supermanchurian Candidate. But how does that play out in a game? Like as a setup? I think it plays out in the context of, I would effectively sit down, watch the show The Americans, which is all about Soviet sleeper agents deep cover sleeper agents in 80s America. And kind of take your cue off that, so that what you can play with is you've got these jobs to do to get information from, sabotage the efforts of, and manipulate the heroes. And sometimes it might be your hero, sometimes it might be a related hero. You've got these things to do. It's obvious, it's presumably it's a cause that you're committed enough to be doing this thing. But on the other hand, you are spending most of your life with these people. These are your friends and your co-workers. So I would want to pick a system that really allowed you to play with that. Apocalypse World is an obvious one to go to for anything relationshipy, but I'm sure there are other options out there. But yeah, I would essentially want to be pulling on those two strings. That there's the job that you do, but there's also the fact that you are interacting with these people. If they're not your friends, or at least your colleagues and everything, these are not bad people, but you're doing bad stuff to them. Yeah. The temptation to just run it until somebody snaps. Yeah. So basically they're trying to walk that tightrope between completing the mission and staying sane and on task, being the person they're pretending to be. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that came up in the show, The Americans, is figuring out that the way to get information into and out of a CIA operation is via the teenage daughter of one of the officials. And so our protagonists sets themselves up in a situation where they can seduce said teenage daughter, and then is kind of thinking, well, actually, I have a teenage daughter of my own. I am literally setting myself up to seduce somebody who is the equivalent of my own daughter. And yeah, they pounded that button good and hard. Okay. So yeah, I would want something that played with that a lot. I'm not 100% sure what that system is, and I think you'd probably want to sort of set up with, okay, here's a season. Here's, if I was doing it, I would probably come up with, here is
an overriding job for everybody. Here is everybody's bits of it. The campaign ends when that's happened, because otherwise it's a game with no end in sight.
Yeah, and kind of stressful one.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, no, that's pretty interesting. Alrighty, so you had a third idea?
Yes, so I feel at this point, just to have a break in me talking for the audience's purposes, we also had some commentary on My Tale is basically the same as One Bobo, only dumber, over on the Fear the Boot blatant self-promotion thread, which includes the comment from Taz of liking the idea of Captain Juan Bobo, plot monkey. A explanation as to where the canned pasta and other nightmares came from.
Yes, and that was further back up the thread.
Yeah, that was quite a way back up the thread.
2 years ago, so.
And also some questions about what type of monkey Juan Bobo is, which, I don't know, maybe to give people a break from my voice, Ben could take a crack at.
Kinamono asked, is Juan Bobo a bonobo? I like the idea of a campaign where the goal was not so much to succeed as to stave off disaster, as much disaster as possible. Well, the ship is mostly intact, and there was no arterial blood was shed, so I'm counting this as a win.
Yes, that was from Burning.
Yes. Oh, that was from Burning, yes. And Kamino one-upped to that as by saying, of course, if he's a bonobo, then his other go-to solution for most problems would have sex with the source of the problem. Yes, it was an orca. Don't judge. Let us go, didn't it?
And then I cropped up with, I was initially wondering whether an Apocalypse World hack would fit Juan Bobo, on the grounds that the game is a bit less about the adventures and a bit more about the idiots following Juan Bobo. The bonobo thing makes me wonder whether you'd keep the sex moves, but tweak them to be about what you do when your captain is problem solving.
That kind of seems more like an end of game move, because in Apocalypse World, the six moves are basically triggered by intimacy and vulnerability and so forth. Whereas
in this case, I'm suggesting they're triggered by horrifying comedy. Yeah, okay, fair call.
Yeah. It's not completely uncalled for, but yes. But if it's something that's triggered by a single thing, yeah, it means it would happen to everybody. So it'd be kind of like the solution has been found. Yeah, I don't know if I can get that to work, but for anyone who's missing what this is, bonobo monkeys have a very open communal culture and diffuse any social problems they have by basically having sex, and seem like pretty much the happiest primates in existence. So
I do remember an episode of the Jankcast from many years ago where one of the cast had been reading up about bonobos and had basically was just explaining bonobo society with great enthusiasm and maybe a little jealousy.
Maybe a little, yes.
Yeah, it was it was an entertaining thing. So yes, Captain Juan Bonobo. Okay, also we had a suggestion, a couple of comments from Tim Soholt, asking one, whether the name of Bobo being associated with a monkey in my head was because of Professor Bobo from Mystery Science Theater 3000, and as soon as I read that, my thought was, oh, of course it bloody was. How did I not? Right. Yeah, that is absolutely where that came from. There had no question in my mind. I had completely forgotten the character until Tim mentioned it, and then yes, of course, that is where it came from.
The old cast members show up like twice in a couple of like skits in the new series, but so yes, I'm vaguely. I've not seen as much MST3K as you have, but yeah, certainly a possibility.
There was also another comment from Tim suggesting that Mindy from the Buttons and Mindy cartoons on Animaniacs is a sort of an example of the pirate Captain Juan Bobo archetype, although she's obviously not a leader per se. I do not remember this cartoon, unfortunately.
Yeah, Buttons and Mindy was basically a cute Elmer Fudd-esque, not quite Elvira. Actually, no, she wasn't the Elmira model, but she was a toddler, slightly older age child, and Buttons was a large, placid Alsatian who was desperately trying to stop her from wandering into construction sites.
Oh, that one!
Factories and things like that, and Buttons just, would impose himself or get in the way or something, and generally get horribly brutalized, thereby saving Mindy.
Right, okay, yes. I hadn't realised that thing had a name.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yep.
if it did, I didn't remember what it was. Also a comment on the Doctor Who RPG, that the Doctor Who RPG compensates for the abilities of the Doctor by giving the player less plot currency, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, that's very much how that works.
Yeah. I just looked at pictures, and Buttons is way less Alsatian-y than I remember. Just Warner Brothers dog kind of thing. Yeah, weird. Wonder why I thought of it. I thought of Buttons as being an Alsatian. Odd.
Okay, so those were that was some stuff from people who aren't us. What was the third idea? Oh yeah, my third idea, which I'm really looking forward to seeing what you come up with for pithy statement. So no pressure. Which is basically, yeah, it's a one-liner. Wholesome and hopelessly naive sidekicks go slumming it on a night out and choose poorly.
The dark nightclub. No, that's not quite.
Yeah, it's getting in the right way. Yeah, I am basically thinking that it's an out-and-out comedy game, probably a convention game it would work reasonably well for, because it's just a bunch of sidekicks hitting out for a night out. They decide we're not going to go to the Wholesome Sidekick milk bar or whatever.
Yeah.
We are going to go somewhere downtown, a little bit edgy, and just wander into the dodgiest, the dodgiest, most horrible bar imaginable. Chaos ensues.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, the dive bar called the Danger Room or something, and maybe either they're recognised, which would be less. That would be a different sort of game. But yes, if they're relatively unknown but they play on their knowledge of supervillains and so forth and pretend to be sidekicks of supervillains to impress their new friends and get into terrible, terrible trouble.
Nice. Yes, it would need to be something where I would want this to be a low fatality sort of system. High risk, low fatality, because the object of the exercise is not villains get curb stomped to death by mobsters. Oh, sorry, yeah, sidekick get curb stomped to death by mobsters, but more sidekicks run for their lives down dumpster-strewn alleyways, chased by ...
Ooh, you could make it. Huh. Yeah, maybe they. Okay, the sidekicks decide to do something to impress their mentors and assigned heroes. They hear through the grapevine that there is a bunch of villains henchmen that are going to be meeting, but it's not. Then none of the capes will be told. This is completely just normal folks. It's basically the opening to the Warriors.
Okay.
Cyrus, some charismatic henchman going in place of Cyrus going, "Can you dig it?" And it's like these hench people have realized they run this town. If they just disregard the supervillains, the supervillains couldn't get anything without them, because mostly they're horribly mentally unstable and can't find their pants if they're not being assisted. And they've managed to amass armies, and it's like instead of the gangs of New York, these from the Warriors taking out these groups of henchmen, all garishly color coded, of course, just in the same way, of course. But the sidekicks have crept in, and they're going to holy crap, there's a lot of you guys. And they have their communicators and so forth taken off of them, and managed to use some of their gadgets and gizmos to escape, but are now running pell-mell through the bad part of town, chased by
every henchman ever.
Yeah, because they don't want the heroes to find out. They don't want the villains to catch them and find out. They want them. This could be a little darker, possibly. They do not want these kids getting back with the news that they are about to turn on the villains.
And the kids don't want the henchmen to let everybody know that they did this dumb thing.
I think the kids are probably the sidekicks are probably really interested in living through the night.
Well, that too.
So yeah, that's probably high on their list of. bucket list, don't die.
Okay, so I mean, it's shades of the movie Judgment Night.
Oh yes,
as well.
yes. There was that sort of thing that I was thinking. It was like, yes, there's suddenly things have gone to crap. The normally somewhat safe city is now a battleground, or at least is a place of peril for this group, and they're running through the night, attempting to escape these garishly clad hordes of people. And technically, finding a supervillain wouldn't be optimal, but it might be better than being cornered and pummeled to death in an alleyway somewhere.
Well, if we can make it to if we go to the Joker's lair, ring the doorbell, run quickly, maybe he'll open it up at the right time.
Yes.
And
Also, he appreciates a good prank.
yeah, we wouldn't pull that shit. Yeah, we wouldn't pull that shit on Two-Face, but the Joker, we might get away with it.
Yeah. So no, actually, I quite like that one. Yeah, especially if you blend it with like this idea of the fleeing across the city.
That was the aspect of it I quite liked, is the fleeing across the city, pursued by bad guys kind of deal.
Yeah, but bring it down to the scale that the
sidekicks can cope with.
Well, at least manage to flee from. So yeah.
Okay, I'm just imagining somebody sort of hitting the intercom at the Joker's place, because of course they know where the Joker lives, but nobody's ever been able to take him out. And sort of, hey, Joker, what's got 800 feet? Yeah, it is right at your door, and then just running away as the mob of henchmen arrive. I like it.
Cool. Yeah, no, that'll be fun. I might be able to come up with a pithy name by the time the episode's edited, but yeah.
And the Dark Knight Club has a certain something to it.
It's a bit crap.
It is no Supermanchurian Candidate or Henchmen on a Train.
Might be another classic film reference we can dig out of that. But no, pretty good.
I mean, there must be something more recent than Judgment Night that has that kind of, we have seen something we're not supposed to, and now we're in a lot of trouble.
It's a
vibe.
bit purgy, but not quite. I think it's a lot of that sort of stuff's gone, but social commentary, so it's not quite the same thing. It's not the city is aflame, social unrest kind of thing. It's a bit more pointed than that. But still. Okay,
so yes, those were my 3 ideas. Well,
awesome.
3 fragments of idea.
Yeah, no, those are all excellent. I think they are quite fresh takes on the gone from stale to deeply unhip to slightly problematic, bad, touchy kind of thing that sidekicks have to face. So yeah, I think we navigated that minefield, except for the whole sausage comment from earlier.
Yeah. I was wondering if you're going to edit that out entirely, and so this will be the only reference to the sausage comment.
No, I think to have a callback here, need something to call back to. And hey, everyone loves a callback.
I don't know, I feel the boot has done very well out of the missing episodes.
It's a bit of mystique I think they've got that we might be missing.
Sorely lacking? Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Cool. Alrighty. Gee, we got any other news?
I am trying to think of other news. We've done the election bit, and I've ranted about politics, so that's always done. What else do we...
Well, I can say that I finally got 2/3 of a game, well, maybe 3/4, depends on if you count the creation process, which I probably should, of a game of Questlandia under my belt. So I might want to see if I can articulate my excellent experience as some sort of review or something. We haven't put up many game review posts lately with Dr. Video Games being indisposed, so maybe that will be a thing that we can add. See if I can write something coherent. I can always edit this out if I don't.
If that doesn't end up happening.
Yeah. But bloody good time actually. But and good to get back onto some semi-regular role playing that hasn't turned into a scheduling / personal drama nightmare within a week. So that's nice.
I'm not sure how much is being picked up by the microphone, but a large white van has appeared outside my place. And
away.
It does have a certain runaway vibe. I mean, some of the letters have fallen off the name of the company, which is always a really good sign.
Yeah.
It's very encouraging. Also, I can't actually see who's in the van. I can just see the door moving occasionally, which is even more creepy. And I'm kind of glad that it's 2 floors down and the door's locked.
Nice.
Yeah, so
right.
This might be the last you hear from me, listeners. It's been an honor and a privilege.
Avenge him.
Yes, avenge me. Carry on my works. In particular, if you want to carry on my works by going into work and finishing off the code I was working on, I'd really appreciate it.
Co-workers, well, I don't think you'll be in a position, having been dragged off screaming into the suspicious badly lettered van.
Badly lettered van, yeah.
You're probably the least of your concerns at that point. But nice of you to think of them.
Yeah, you don't like to leave tasks unfinished. You know, it's the whole thing that creates sort of angry ghosts that there are tasks in this world that were unfinished. Generally, those tasks tend to be a little bit more sort of find the person who murdered my family or recover the artifact, and a little bit less. Dude. Finish coding up that lookup dictionary so that the two different data tables work together correctly.
No, dude, sorry. The Restless Spirits explain a lot of the problems I've seen with some software projects. So, yeah, I think that's actually what's going on most of the time. Maybe exorcism is preferable to debugging.
Yeah, it does fit into that whole thing of getting SCSI chains to work. That you must remember that a SCSI chain requires 3 terminators: a terminator on the device, a terminator at the end of the chain, and the end of a chain, and a terminator of a black goat at the stroke of midnight.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that slightly weird note, do we want to announce what episode 100 is?
It's about time-ish, I think. No, it's not about time. It's something completely unrelated to time.
Well, it's a couple of episodes out, so yes, we've decided. Yeah, episode 100 is coming up, not next time, but the time after that. And you want to do the honors?
I could if my memory was better.
I feel like we wrote this thing down.
No, I know. It's just there is a null pointer there. Okay.
Wow, that was nerdy.
Do we want to do the backstory? Because I don't know the backstory off the top of my head. I think it's possibly the important part. Or do we just want to leave the weirdness hanging there?
Let's go with. I can do a bit of the backstory.
Okay.
Actually, no. Let's just leave the weirdness hanging.
So we should probably announce the next episode.
Yes.
In episode 99, we can look forward to canned pasta and other nightmares.
And there is, in fact, a callback to a previous episode from a few years ago.
Yep. I think that was the Mystical Land of Denaria.
Oh, yes, the one where Kiramono had this really fantastic sort of pun-laden thing that he'd written in, which got completely ruined by me not getting any of the references and pronouncing the names wrong.
Yes, it made it a bit difficult. That Chef Boyardee is not something that is not universally understood, but I think I got from reading paranoia books from the 80s, so books is full of puns. You might explain several things. So that's episode 99, and for episode 100...
Oh, were you leaving a gap for me? Or?
That was your cue, yes.
Sorry, okay, can we do that again then? Also, we should leave that bit in.
And for episode 100...
International Detective Dragons from Outer Space.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay, I think we nailed that.
Okay. Smooth. Righty, so thank you for soldiering on through this evil Sidekick hangout. And we'll hang out next time for canned pasta and other nightmares.
See you then. Enjoy your pasta.
Indeed. Bye-bye.
Want to hear more of our shenanigans? Then go to hoarde.net and click on the button that looks like a couch. The Big Red Couch is released under Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 3.0 Unported from creativecommons.org. All music on the show comes from the album Universal Fluff Theory by Krakatoa. Visit them at krakatoa.com or follow the link from our page. See you next time!